it was battlefield commissions he got, so after the Civil War, they didn't have enough money to pay all these generals, so they put them back in their former ranks. It happened after the First World War, too. A lot of guys who had risen in the ranks in the First World War got thrown back into lower ranks after the war because the government pulled back on the financing. So, you know, he ended up being only a colonel or something like that when he'd previously been a general. I don't think he liked that. He wanted to get back up to general pretty quick. Well, anyway, he was one of the ones to encourage this. So the Indians had it in for him, things that he'd done. But this is already in 1869. They don't get him till when? I like dates. 1876. So, you know, that takes him another 9 years to settle scores with him. But, you know, he's a marked man in the sense that he's already out in front on breaking promises, doing things that are intruding on their sacred space. So when they finally get him, I don't know if you've watched a lot of specials. It's a celebrated event, the Custer Affair. I think you've heard of that anyway. The Indians actually don't scalp him and do the same they did to all the other people on the battlefield, mutilate the bodies and stuff like that. You say, well, you know, isn't that terrible? They mutilated bodies. Why did they mutilate the bodies? Why did Justin Timberlake marry Madonna? Why did they mutilate the bodies? Yeah.
Wasn't it believed that the state of the corpse would be that way in the
Yeah,
afterlife?
that's exactly the reason that they believe that the way you were found, I guess, in the death situation was the way you'd enter the next life. So they don't want to meet you as a whole person in the next life again. So they wanted to send you up there at a disadvantage. Now, they may have reveled in it too, but I don't think it was totally reveling in it. It was to, you know, disable you considerably. You know, cut your arm off, cut your leg off, cut your hands off, do stuff like that that would reduce your ability to avenge yourself on them in the next life. Look, these beliefs are not something that is easy to comprehend. Because I don't think the poor ant that I step on is going to, you know, mutilate me in the next life or something like that, unfortunately. It would be good if he did. But he can't, it seems to me. And it's not a very realistic picture of the universe, but I don't think human beings have had a realistic picture of the universe until comparatively recently. And I'm not even sure they have one now. So, even though we think we're... how many have read Plato again? I've told you about Plato's cave, that the people in Plato's, he had this image that most people are sitting in the cave. I see it like most people sitting in a movie theater. And Plato said they would see images on the wall like you see images on the screen. But Plato said only the philosopher, they're chained in this cave and they have their backs to the sun outside of this cave. He said that's the way most people are living, chained in a dark cave. They only see flickering images on the wall of things outside, reflected in the cave. But the philosopher is the person who throws off his chains, goes outside, and stands in the sun and sees reality. That's an interesting image. You might say that the enlightened person is the person who goes out of the movie theater and stands in South Coast Plaza parking lot. That would be a similar... You like that joke, huh? You might want to laugh at my joke. So that's the enlightened person. It's a good image, but the question is, do the Native Americans, are they living in the cave? Well, I think from Plato they're living in the cave, but so were the Greeks as far as Plato was concerned. Only the philosophers are the enlightened people as far as Plato was concerned. In my view, today, are we still living in a cave? Probably we're still pretty much deep in the cave. And are we getting out of it? I guess so, but what's out there is difficult for anyone to see because what's ever out there seems so many light years away that we're never going to get there to find it anyway. So even being out of the cave in the light doesn't seem to help a lot. And someone said the basic problem, I was listening to the person last night on TV who made the movie Alexander the Great that's going to hit the cinemas this week or next, Oliver Stone. And he was saying that Alexander the Great said all men actually are driven by one thing and one thing only, fear of death. And that seems to be a constant. And it probably operates today too, that ultimately everyone's basically driven by that.